The Legacy of Wisdom project gathers and publishes answers to many of humanity's most pressing questions from some of our most experienced and profound leaders.
Some people go through a list and they say, well, what's my bucket list?
Yes, that's
now,
right.
There's a difference between the so-called spiritual bucket list or fulfillment bucket list and this other bucket list.
Yes.
Regular things. Can you talk a little bit about it? Is that a valuable technique to use when you're approaching this idea of mission and fulfillment?
I think it could be for some people. I like the movie, the bucket list movie. And for some people, see, the thing we have to remember here is that not everybody is on some kind of spiritual path. And when I talk to people, and I talk to lots of people all around the country, all around the world, actually, my task is really to give them whatever they need. Sometimes what they need is advice about mental health, sometimes physical health, sometimes money. How do I develop a new career? It varies. People have lots of different needs and lots of different interests. For the people who have this interest in some higher spiritual, whatever you want to call it, that's a different category. And that really is an inner process. And for them, they have to wait until they hear that call. That's the way I think of it in terms of, I wrote a book called The 5 Stages of the Soul. And that call is the moment that they wake up and say, is this all there is to my life? Kind of like the Peggy Lee song, is this all there is? That can happen at any age. That can happen at your daughter's age. That can happen when people are 90 years old, or any time in between. There's no rhythm or rhyme or schedule to that.
Well, certainly one of the reasons that I'm asking that is that we know that people who have a sense that they've fulfilled something in their lives
Yes.
often have a better quality of life in that end state before they go. And
Right.
to be able to look at that, this life review idea, or the bucket list idea, and to be able to really take a look at your life, is that really a valuable thing to do?
I think it is. I think it can be. Let's take, you use the term life review, and that's a very good term. It's what actually got me involved in this aging business 45 years ago, was teaching autobiography and oral history to people. And I've done a lot of oral history and autobiography work, and I've written about it. And I actually had the great good fortune to work for the man who invented the term life review, Robert Butler, who, by the way, now deceased, no longer with us. But Bob was one of the truly great people that I've known in my life. And he insisted, this is going back 50 years or more, that what happens in later life is this process of thinking about the past, reflecting. It's something that actually, if you think of the movie, and there's a reason why it's so popular, A Christmas Carol, what happens to Scrooge? Well, Scrooge is engaged in a process of life review. What prompts it is perhaps a kind of depression. He's closed off. But something happens to him. Jacob Marley, the ghost, comes to him in the middle of the night. That's the moment of the call, you see. And so life review can be a process of spiritual awakening. In his case, at an old age. In St. Augustine's case, a very young age, relatively. It seems young to me now, age 40 or whatever it was. But that's not the only way that life review works. Sometimes life review takes the form of disillusionment. For me, that has happened actually, that I've begun to see through a lot of my projects that, are they really all that worthwhile? And other people sometimes. We tend to believe in people and institutions. So disillusionment, I think, is part of life. But I'll tell you a story about that. Even though I think disillusionment is very important, I went to a gerontology conference one time, and I'd been studying disillusionment, and I had a whole poster session on the subject. And I'm usually pretty popular. People come to my events at these gerontology conferences. So I put my poster up for 2 hours. Not a single person came. Not one. No one wanted to hear about disillusionment. And I realized, from a marketing point of view, that's very important. People don't want to hear about the negative. So you can't just talk about disillusionment. So a couple of years later, my friend Connie Goldman and I, by the way, I hope you interview her for this series, we teamed up together and did it again as a session. But this time we titled it Disappointment and Disillusionment, Choose Life, L'Chaim. Well, if you frame it that way, then people say, okay, I can cope with my disillusionment, but I need something to hope for. And this is the key. If we are just disillusioned with our life review, looking at the past, then we'll be consumed with regret. And this is a dead end.
Thank you very much. It's a beautiful answer.